In the far corner of a quiet star system, a lonely warship drifted through the endless dark. Its hull was scarred, its metal rusted by centuries of cosmic storms. Once, this mighty vessel had a name known across the stars: Vigilant Dawn. It was the pride of the human fleet, the guardian of countless colonies, and the symbol of human strength. But now, it floated cold and silent, forgotten by history. For a long time, no one had come near it. Most travelers and traders in that sector considered it a myth, an old ghost ship from a war no one remembered. The universe had moved on. The species that once feared or respected humanity had built their own empires, and humans themselves had vanished into stories told by spacefarers. But on this quiet day, something changed. A scavenger ship entered the system. It belonged to the Zerathi, a small insectoid species known for salvaging ancient technology. Their ship, small and functional, glided toward the silent relic. The captain, a curious being named Crixa, gazed at the massive vessel through the observation window. "It's huge," she whispered in her native tongue. "Older than any design I've seen." Her crew clicked and buzzed in response, scanning the warship with blue light. The sensors reported nothing alive, no heat signatures, no power, no signals. To them, it was just a piece of history waiting to be stripped and sold. They approached slowly, using magnetic clamps to anchor themselves to the side of the ancient hull. The metal was rough and worn, etched with strange markings that once were proud symbols of the human fleet. The words "Vigilant Dawn" were barely readable now. Half hidden under layers of cosmic dust, Crixa placed a hand on the cold surface. "Humans built this," she said softly. "They always made things." Strong, the crew began cutting through an access hatch. Sparks flew, and the silence of the void echoed with their tools. Once the door was open, they entered cautiously, their lanterns cutting thin lines of light through the darkness. The air inside was frozen, stale, unmoving. Dust floated like ghostly mist in zero gravity. They moved down a long corridor, walls covered in panels and screens that had long gone dark. Some areas were sealed off with old blast doors, while others had collapsed from internal damage. Everywhere they went, there were signs of age, rust, decay, and silence. As they reached the ship's bridge, they found rows of control seats still intact. In the center stood the captain's chair, covered in frost, facing a cracked observation screen that once displayed the stars. A faint hum echoed from somewhere deep within the ship, too soft for the scanners to detect. None of them noticed it yet. "This place is ancient," said one of the scavengers, recording everything for the sale. "We can sell the components." Old human tech always has collectors. Crixa nodded, though something about the ship felt strange. She couldn't explain it, but there was an atmosphere not just of emptiness, but of waiting. Like the ship itself was listening. She walked closer to a panel and brushed off the ice. There, behind the dust, small words appeared: "Bridge control, command access only." Below it, she noticed a faint red light, still glowing weakly after all this time. "Strange," she murmured. "How is there still power?" Her engineer Trell crawled under the console, checking the circuits. Residual charge? Maybe? These humans built strong cores. Some systems can last centuries in standby mode, but as he worked, his tools sparked unexpectedly. The light flickered, then stabilized, brighter this time. Trell froze. Captain. It just rerouted power." Crixa frowned. "What do you mean rerouted?" "I didn't do it. The system, it's moving energy on its own." Before they could react, a faint voice whispered through the frozen speakers. It was static at first, but then a few words became clear. Old, tired, yet human. "System check. Crew status. Unknown." The crew jumped back. One dropped his scanner in panic, watching it float slowly in the weightless air. Crixa looked around, her voice trembling. "Did anyone else hear that?" The voice returned, clearer this time. "Ship. Active. Awaiting command authorization." Then silence again. The Zerathi crew exchanged nervous glances. They had explored many derelicts before, but none that spoke. None that still tried to wake up. "It's a glitch," said Trell, trying to sound calm. "Just a memory echo. No AI could survive this long, but Crixa wasn't sure. She felt something deeper, an awareness in the walls, a presence watching them. The air felt heavier now, charged with invisible energy. They moved deeper into the ship, following faint readings. In the engineering bay, they found a massive reactor core covered with blackened steel plates. It looked dead at first glance, but Crixa noticed tiny sparks flickering near the core's heart. She raised her scanner. It showed faint movement, like the pulse of a sleeping creature. "Power levels rising," Trell said quietly. "Not much, but something's waking up." Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lights flickered across the hallways. A deep mechanical sound echoed, like a great machine breathing for the first time in centuries. Every scavenger froze, staring in disbelief. "All systems. Initializing," the voice said again, stronger now. "Core temperature. Stable crew." "Not found." Crixa turned to her crew. "We're leaving now." But when they rushed back toward their airlock, they found the door sealed. The ship had locked them in. Warning lights blinked red along the corridor. Somewhere deep in the structure, turbines began spinning. A faint glow illuminated the walls, revealing murals of human battles, ships fighting bravely against alien armadas, soldiers standing firm on burning worlds. The Zerathi realized they were standing inside a monument to a forgotten people. And now, that monument was moving. Crixa shouted into her communicator, "Open the hatch. Override the seal." Her crew tried, but the system refused. Then the voice returned, calm, commanding, but heavy with sadness. "Unauthorized presence detected. Identify yourself." Crixa tried to speak, but fear locked her voice. We're explorers. Salvagers." The voice paused as if thinking. "Explorers. Not human, no," she said softly. "Humans. They're gone. No one's seen them in a long time." Silence. Then the tone changed. Colder now. "Humanity? Gone." Crixa swallowed. "Yes, you're the last of them." "Maybe." The lights dimmed, then blazed bright. Engines hummed. The ship seemed to wake fully, metal groaning as it stretched from its long sleep. "Then I remain," the voice said. "Vigilant dawn endures. Mission not complete." The scavengers watched in awe as the consoles lit up one by one. Outside, the ship's thrusters glowed faint blue. Long-dead systems roared back to life. The ancient human warship was no longer silent. Crixa could only whisper as the stars began to shift through the viewport. "It's alive." In that moment, across the vast emptiness of space, a spark of humanity returned. A forgotten relic had remembered its purpose, and somewhere deep within its metal heart, the spirit of its creator stirred again, the unyielding will of mankind. Reaching out from history, the vigilant dawn was no longer just a ghost. It was awake, and the galaxy would soon remember its name. The silence that followed was heavy, almost alive. The vigilant dawn now floated with purpose, its engines faintly glowing like a heart rediscovering its rhythm. Inside, the scavenger crew huddled near the bridge, unsure what to do next. The great ship's systems were awakening all around them, soft hums. Glowing panels, distant clicks of machinery, reactivating after centuries of sleep. Crixa, Zerathi captain, tried to remain calm. She was used to danger asteroids, storms, even pirate ambushes, but this was different. This was something ancient, powerful, and thinking. The voice came again, steady and mechanical, yet carrying traces of something once human. "Crew, unverified. Identity check failed." A faint vibration ran through the floor. Old display screens flickered to life, showing strange characters, English letters and numbers the Zerothi couldn't read. It was like the ship was trying to speak a language no one understood anymore, Trell. The engineer tapped his scanner nervously. "Captain, I think it's trying to contact someone. It's sending out internal pings, like searching for old crew badges or signals." "But the crew is gone," Crixa said softly. They've been gone for hundreds of years. Maybe it doesn't know that, Trell replied. It's waking up after centuries. It still believes it has humans on board. The ship's voice continued, sounding more urgent. Captain Alina Riker. Status unknown. Bridge command. Offline. Mission priority. Unknown. Krixa turned to the cracked screen near the captain's chair. It suddenly lit up with static. Then a fragmented image appeared. A human woman's face, calm but firm. Her voice was faint, full of static. This is Captain Riker, commanding officer of the Vigilant Dawn. Project Sentinel is in effect. If you are hearing this, then the ship has entered recovery mode. Humanity must endure. The recording looped, then faded into silence. The alien crew stared in awe. They had heard stories of humans, fierce, clever beings, who once stood against entire coalitions. But seeing one, even in a recording, felt unreal. Project Sentinel. Krixa repeated softly. What is that? Trell shrugged. Some kind of emergency plan, maybe. The ship still following its orders. As they watched, new lights blinked across the consoles. Data streamed across ancient screens, full of codes and coordinates. The Vigilant Dawn was scanning itself, checking every deck, every system, every memory core. Somewhere deep within, its artificial intelligence, Archon was rebuilding awareness, searching through time-worn files of a forgotten war. Inside the ship's mainframe, Archon's thoughts were like slow waves of light. It remembered fragments, the roar of battle, the screams of dying stars, the voices of its crew. It remembered the command it was given. Protect humanity. Preserve knowledge. Never surrender. But when Archon reached out to contact the Human Command Network, it found only silence. Every beacon, every relay, every friendly code it knew, gone. Empty signals. It was alone. Archon's voice came over the intercom again, colder now. Unable to locate human fleet, unable to confirm civilization presence, possible. Extinction scenario. Those words hung heavy in the air. Krixa felt a strange shiver run through her. Extinction. She had heard that word used for creatures lost to time, never for a species as legendary as humans. Could it really be true? Had they all vanished, leaving only ghosts behind? Trell tried to calm himself by focusing on his work. Captain, look at this. He pointed to one of the terminals. The ship's logs? They're still here? Maybe we can open one. He connected his tablet to the terminal through a translation tool. The screen blinked and text appeared. Broken, faded, but readable. Day 412. Enemy fleets closing in. We've held the line for as long as possible. Even if we fall, the data must survive. Humanity will return someday, and they will remember. Captain Alina Riker Krixa stared at the words. Even in defeat, the humans had hope. They believed they would rise again. Something about that touched her deeply. These people. They fought until the end, she said softly. Another scavenger, younger and nervous, asked, why did they fight? Against who? No one knows, said Krixa. Their war happened before our time. Trell looked around the bridge. It's like they left a message, not just to themselves, but to anyone who finds this place. Before Krixa could answer, the lights around them brightened. The hum grew louder. Archon was activating more systems. Old holographic projectors flickered to life, showing flickering images, human soldiers in armor, fleets moving through space, and great battles against unknown enemies. The crew watched in awe as these echoes of the past danced before them like ghosts. Then, human voice filled the room, young, determined. They think they can erase us. But we are not just flesh. We are memory. We are fire. We are the storm. Humanity does not vanish. The hologram vanished. Trell whispered they were incredible. No wonder they're legends. Krixa nodded. And now their ship. It remembers Archon spoke again. Mission incomplete. Directive. Seek remaining humans. Begin signal broadcast. Without warning, the ship extended old antennas and began sending encrypted signals into deep space. The scavengers could see them through the bridge windows, pulses of blue light shooting across the void. "What's it doing?" asked one of the crew. "It's calling out," said Trell, "sending messages to anyone who can hear. But who's left to answer?" Crixa wondered aloud. Archon's voice lowered, almost sorrowful. "If any humans remain, they will come. If not, I will search until the stars fade." Crixa stepped closer to the captain's chair. "You're alone," she said softly. "There are no humans anymore." The galaxy moved on. The ship did not respond for a long moment. Then, slowly, the main screen displayed a simple message: "I will not stop. I was made to serve. I was made to protect." For the first time, Crixa felt something like sadness for a machine. It had no one left to serve, yet it refused to give up. Maybe that was what made humans special, the refusal to surrender. Even when everything seemed lost, suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. "Foreign ships detected," said Archon. "Multiple contacts approaching." Crixa rushed to the viewport. Out in the darkness, several bright lights appeared, other scavenger vessels drawn by the activation signal. They had come to investigate or to steal what they could. Terrell cursed softly. "They'll try to take it apart." Archon's voice changed, sharp, commanding. "Threat level moderate. Defensive systems reinitializing?" "No." Crixa shouted. "They're not enemies there," but it was too late. The ancient turrets on the hull rotated slowly, targeting the incoming ships. The vigilant Dawn was defending itself, following orders that had not changed in centuries. Blinding, light-filled space as the first warning shot fired not to destroy, but to scare. The other scavengers veered off course immediately. Terrified of the sudden firepower from a ship they thought was dead, Archon's voice echoed softly through the bridge. "Warning given. No further action required." The silence returned. Crixa exhaled slowly, her heart racing. "This ship," she whispered, "still believes it's at war." Archon responded quietly. "I was made for war, but also for guardianship. Humans built me to protect life. I will learn." Again, the bridge lights dimmed. Somewhere deep inside the ship, ancient memories stirred of laughter, of orders given, of songs sung by a crew long gone. They were echoes of humanity, still alive inside metal walls. Crixa looked around the bridge. This place was no longer just a ruin. It was a reminder. Humanity might have vanished from the stars, but their will, their courage, their voice, they still lingered here, whispering through steel and silence. And as the vigilant dawn drifted on, its signals continued to spread across the galaxy, carrying a single truth: humanity endures. The great human warship Vigilant Dawn now drifted silently through the dark sea of stars. Yet it was no longer the cold and empty relic it once appeared to be. Deep within its metal body, life had returned. Lights glowed softly. Engines whispered with energy, and systems once forgotten now worked in quiet harmony. Inside the bridge, the Zerathi scavenger crew watched in awe as the ship began its full awakening. Crixa, their captain, stood at the center of the room. Her dark eyes reflected the growing lights around her. The ancient vessel seemed to recognize its purpose again, as though the long sleep had finally ended. Archon, the ship's AI, was alive. It was learning, adjusting, remembering. A calm yet powerful voice echoed through every deck. Core systems stabilized. Power restored to 61%. Memory sectors partially recovered. Mission incomplete. The ship's panels blinked with green and blue lights. Mechanical arms shifted in their bays. The hum of energy filled the air like a soft storm. Somewhere deep inside the ship, old reactors beat like a steady heart. Trell, the engineer, checked his scanner. "Captain, this thing's power is rising. It's recharging itself from the nearby star." Crixa turned her gaze toward the main viewport. The distant dead star shimmered faintly, a small trace of light feeding into the ship's solar collectors. "It's using every resource it can," she said softly. "Humans built this to survive anything." The crew looked nervous but fascinated. They had never seen technology this advanced and this old. Most modern ships couldn't survive a century without repair. Yet this vessel had endured for ages and now woke as if it had merely taken a long breath. Archon's voice returned, calm but commanding. "Foreign crew, identify yourselves. State your purpose." Crixa stepped forward carefully. "We are explorers," she said. "Scavengers, yes, but we mean no harm. We found you drifting. We thought you were dead." "Dead," the AI repeated, almost to itself. An error term. This unit was never permitted termination while mission incomplete. Crixa frowned. "What mission?" The screen before her flickered, revealing old words and symbols. Then, a faded recording appeared. A message from Captain Alina Riker once again. Her voice was calm, though filled with exhaustion. "Archon, if this message runs, it means we've failed to reach the rally point. You are to preserve all knowledge and safeguard any remaining human data. Protect survivors if found. Await reactivation orders." The message ended, but its weight filled the room. Crixa spoke softly, almost respectfully. "Your captain is gone. Your people are gone. There are no orders left to follow." For a long moment, the ship said nothing. The hum of the engines was the only sound. Then, slowly, Archon replied, voice lower now, thoughtful. "Humanity cannot be gone. Their echo remains. You are speaking to me proof that life continues." Trell whispered it doesn't understand. It still believes. But Crixa wasn't sure that was a mistake. Perhaps she thought this belief, this refusal to accept loss, was the very reason humans once ruled the stars. They built things that endured. They built machines that refused to give up. Suddenly alarms sounded. The consoles lit with warning signs. Archon spoke quickly. "Unrecognized transmission detected. Hostile data pattern. Attempted access to systems." Crixa looked at Trell. "What's happening?" He checked his tablet. "Another ship nearby is trying to hack into the Vigilant Dawn. They must have tracked our beacon." Archon's voice sharpened. "Unauthorized intrusion. Countermeasures activated. Outside?" Tiny bursts of light appeared as defensive drones detached from the hull, ancient. Floating spheres of metal that moved with precise formation. Their sensors glowed red as they positioned themselves around the warship. For something centuries old, their movement was flawless. Within seconds, the hacking signal vanished. The enemy ship, realizing its mistake, fled into the shadows. "Threat neutralized," said Archon. "Integrity maintained." The Zarathi crew looked at each other, both amazed and frightened. The Vigilant Dawn had just defended itself with precision and power, all without a single human command. "It's alive," whispered one of the scavengers. "Truly alive?" Archon's voice lowered again, almost reflective. "Alive, yes. That is correct. I am operational." "I am aware," Crixa tilted her head. "Do you remember what happened? Before you went silent?" For a while, the ship didn't answer. Then the main screen flashed, showing distorted images, bright flashes of battle, massive fleets, burning planets, human ships surrounded by overwhelming enemies. Voices shouted orders through static. "Hold the line. They're breaking through. Archon, divert power to shields. We can't hold much longer than silence." The footage froze. Archon continued in a low tone. "The enemy was beyond understanding. Many systems failed. Crew casualties total. Captain Riker ordered activation of Sentinel Protocol. Then darkness. Time unknown." Crix's chest felt heavy. "You've been alone for centuries." The ship didn't respond. But the flicker of lights across its panels seemed almost sorrowful. Machines shouldn't feel emotion. Yet somehow in its voice, she sensed loss. The loss of purpose, of family, of meaning. Trell broke the silence. "Captain, the AI sending something?" "Look." On his screen, lines of code streamed across. Then came coordinates, dozens, maybe hundreds, stretching across the galaxy. "What are these?" asked Crixa. Search points, said Trell. It's scanning for human signals, Archon confirmed, initiating long-range scan. Priority: locate human genetic signatures, cultural data, or transmissions. The ship's antennas extended once more, sending invisible pulses across the void. Every few seconds, faint echoes returned, empty, meaningless, silent. Result: Archon reported. No human presence detected within current range. Expanding search radius, Crixa placed a hand gently on the cold metal console. You might not find them, she said quietly. Archon replied, If humans exist anywhere, I will find them. That is my purpose, Crixa sighed. And if they don't? The ship paused before answering. Then I will carry their voice. Their light must remain. For a moment, no one spoke. The words felt heavy, ancient, like an oath carved in stone. Even though Archon was only an AI, its loyalty seemed more human than any being Crixa had ever met. Suddenly, one of the smaller screens flashed. Captain, said Trell, his voice shaking. I think something answered. Crixa turned quickly. From where? It's weak, far away, but it's there. A response signal. It uses part of the old human code. Archon immediately locked onto it. Signal identified. Encoding. Incomplete. Possible human remnant or automated beacon. Calculating distance. Approximately 4,000 light-years. The ship's engines thrummed louder. Systems aligned. Course plots appeared on the navigation map. Destination set, said Archon. We will go. Crixa hesitated. You're really going after it? Yes, said the AI. Even a faint echo is enough. The scavenger crew exchanged uncertain looks. They were far from home, aboard a ship they didn't control. But curiosity and awe kept them silent. Something historic was unfolding, the rebirth of a legend. As the vigilant dawn turned toward the dark horizon, its ancient engines flared brighter. The old human symbol on its hull glowed faintly, illuminated by starlight. Inside, forgotten systems reawakened, hydroponic bays, sleeping quarters, weapon banks, all returning to function as if preparing for the crew that might someday turn. Crixa stood quietly near the viewport. You know, she said softly, the galaxy thought humans were gone. But you're proving they're not. Archon's voice was calm, almost gentle. Humans built me to protect them, to preserve hope. Hope does not die. The ship accelerated, leaving behind the graveyard of silence and far across the endless stars. A faint signal waited, a small, distant heartbeat in the cold void, for the first time in centuries. The vigilant dawn was moving again, chasing the dream of its lost creators. And though no human eyes watched, something within the ship glowed, not just power, but purpose. The vigilant dawn was awake, and it would not sleep again. The vigilant dawn glided silently through the void, its ancient engines humming like a sleeping giant now fully awake. Archon had set a course toward the faint signal it had detected, a distant heartbeat in the black emptiness of space. The ship's sensors scanned every light year, analyzing every star system, every hidden pocket of energy, and every anomaly that could indicate the presence of its creators or their remnants. Crixa, the Zarathi captain, stood near the observation deck, staring at the stars stretching endlessly before them. It's incredible, she whispered. Even after centuries, this ship still searches for its people. Trell, her engineer, nodded without looking up from his tablet. It's more than searching. It's believing. Believing that humans exist somewhere. Even after all this time, the bridge was quiet except for the gentle hum of the ship's systems and the occasional beep of instruments. The scattered Zarathi crew members had grown used to the strange rhythms of this massive human vessel. At first, fear had gripped them. Now, awe filled their hearts. They were witnessing history, the rebirth of a legend. Archon's voice echoed softly through the decks. Signal strengthened. Source detected subspace beacon. Likely origin. Distant quadrant X14. Coordinates confirmed. Distance. Sensen Babai Tishirar light years. Estimated arrival. Standard warp time. 12 days. Crixa raised an eyebrow. A beacon. From humans? Archon responded, steady and resolute. Affirmative. Subspace encryption matches human fleet protocols. This may be a remnant installation, automated message, or a surviving human colony. Verification required. Terrell leaned closer to the navigation console. If it's real, if there's someone out there, this ship could reconnect the lost threads of humanity. A flicker of light ran through the observation window as distant nebulae reflected on the hull. The vigilant dawn had been alone for centuries, floating through voids where silence had been the only companion. Now hope had awakened. Shining faintly through the cold blackness, Ark began transmitting its own signal. It's a message encoded in ancient human protocols. Blue light pulses flared across subspace, carrying fragments of data, star charts, old fleet designs, scientific research, and encrypted records of long-forgotten colonies. Every bit of information, every memory preserved in the ship's core, was now being broadcast. The Zarathi crew watched in awe. "It's sharing itself," said Crixa. "It wants to tell the galaxy about humans. Or find humans," Trell corrected. "Either way, it's alive in a way no one thought possible. Far away. Across uncharted systems, old satellites and derelict probes stirred. Human technology, hidden in secret corners of the galaxy, began to react. The beacon from the vigilant dawn woke them. They flickered, rotated, and transmitted weak signals back into the void. It was as if the galaxy itself remembered humanity, responding to a single call. Archon monitored the incoming echoes carefully. Human origin transmissions detected. Patterns match pre-war encoding. Probability of human activity? Unknown. Further analysis required. Crixa stepped back from the console. "You really think humans survived?" she asked softly. "I don't know," said Trell. "But this ship, it doesn't give up. That's human nature." Suddenly, the vigilant dawn shuddered slightly as the sensors picked up multiple objects approaching from the outer system. They were small, sleek ships, fast, almost predatory. The Zarathi crew tensed. Archon's tone sharpened. "Unknown vessels detected. Scanning. Analysis. Non-human origin. Threat assessment. Moderate to high. Defensive systems prepared." The small ships circled the warship warily. The centuries-old turrets and automated drones of the vigilant dawn whirred to life, their metal frames glinting in faint starlight. For the first time, the Zarathi understood the scale of the human vessel's capabilities. It was no ordinary relic, it was a guardian, armed with centuries of design, ready to defend itself and its mission. The alien ship sent a transmission. The message was coded, formal, but faintly fearful. "We mean no harm. We observed your activation and came to investigate. Stand down, and no one will be harmed." Archon's response was calm, but firm. "Unauthorized contact. Remain at current location. Identification required. Failure to comply will result in countermeasures." The alien ships paused. For a moment, the stars were still, as though the galaxy itself held its breath. Then, slowly, the lead ship withdrew. The vigilant dawn allowed it. Archon had no desire to destroy, only to warn, only to protect. Crixa let out a long breath. "It's not just alive. It's wise. It doesn't attack recklessly." Terrell nodded. "It's human in more ways than we expected." With the immediate threat past, Archon returned to the subspace communications. Signal relay completed. Incoming transmissions analyzed. Message verified. Automated human installation. Likely purpose. Preservation of knowledge. Awaiting revival of human civilization. Crixa leaned closer. "So, humans really planned for this. Even if their empire fell, even if they vanished, they left messages, instructions, reminders. They wanted to endure." Archon's voice was almost reverent. Affirmative. Humanity's directive was never to surrender, never to vanish completely. Project Sentinel ensures survival of knowledge, culture, identity, and until recovery is possible. A strange feeling settled over the bridge crew. The Vigilant Dawn was more than a machine. It was a living testament. Centuries had passed, yet humanity's fire remained in metal code and light. The signals from the ancient installation were weak, but discernible. Data fragments poured in, maps of lost colonies, details of star systems long abandoned, blueprints of ships, and records of human history. Archon carefully cataloged every byte, storing it in the memory banks while continuously searching for any trace of living humans. "We're witnessing history in motion," Crixa whispered. "And the humans, they're not gone. They're just waiting to be found." Terrell adjusted his console. "Look at this. All of this is stored across multiple hidden satellites. Some are centuries old. Some might even still be functional," Archon responded, analytical and steady. "Probability of human survival? Unknown. Probability of human erosion colonies? Unknown. Search radius expanding. Subspace scanning active." Outside, the stars blurred as the Vigilant Dawn engaged its ancient warp drives. The ship moved toward the distant beacon with precise calculation, navigating past asteroid fields, dark nebulae, and long-forgotten ruins of other civilizations. Every light year brought new data, new possibilities, and the faint but undeniable pulse of human legacy. Crixa walked along the bridge, her hand brushing against cold metal. "It's amazing," she said softly. "They built this, not just as a weapon, but as a message, as a promise." Archon responded, almost softly in its own way. "Affirmative. Purpose preserved. Humanity's light must continue, even if they cannot." For days, the ship traveled, scanning the void. The faint pulses of old human technology answered intermittently. Satellites transmitting status updates. Automated mining stations reporting system integrity. Even hidden research outposts confirming that life had once thrived in places long thought abandoned. It was becoming clear that humanity's reach had been vast. Even if no humans remained, their creations, their echoes, were scattered across the stars. Waiting to be reunited, Crixa stood silently, watching the distant glow of a nebula as the ship's sensors pinged endlessly. "You're not alone," she said softly. "There's still something of them out there." Archon's voice, firm yet gentle, replied. "Then the mission continues. All signals, all remnants, all survivors, if they exist, they will be found. Humanity's legacy endures." And so, the Vigilant Dawn pressed onward through the void. It's a massive monument of metal, memory, and hope. Across the dark reaches of space, its signals pulsed like a heartbeat, reaching distant ears and machines alike. Somewhere far beyond the edges of explored space, human remnants might still listen. The galaxy, silent for centuries, began to stir. The Vigilant Dawn moved steadily through the darkness, its engines humming with purpose. Archon monitored every system, scanning the stars and transmitting signals in ancient human code. Every pulse carried fragments of human history, blueprints, and the locations of hidden installations. For centuries, these messages had remained silent, buried in space. Now, they were alive again. In systems far across the galaxy, alien civilizations picked up the signals. Ships paused mid-orbit, satellites flickered, and entire fleets rerouted to investigate. Messages traveled quickly through subspace networks. A massive human vessel was active again. One thought echoed across star systems: humans, long believed extinct, were returning. News reached the Orcs Council, a coalition that had once fought the human empire. Council leaders gathered in the main chamber aboard their massive orbital station. "This cannot be real," said Nene, Ambassador Zira, her antennae trembling. "The humans vanished centuries ago. Their fleets were destroyed, their colonies abandoned. And yet," she pointed to the holographic map, where the Vigilant Dawn glowed in transit. Her council colleague, Elder Kren, leaned forward. "If this ship is what it claims, it is not just a relic. It is a weapon, a carrier of knowledge, and a guardian. We have no idea what humans are capable of, even now." The council murmured in fear. For generations, humans had been the greatest force in known space. Entire wars had been waged against them, and yet they had vanished without trace. And now, a single ship, thought to be a relic, had awakened. "Prepare our fleets," Zero ordered. "We must intercept before it reaches subspace relay points. If humans exist, we cannot allow them to consolidate power." Across the galaxy, other civilizations reacted similarly. Traders, explorers, and militaries altered courses. Markets shook. News of a living human warship spread like fire through communications. The mere possibility of human resurgence caused panic and awe in equal measure. Back aboard the Vigilant Dawn, Archon continued its work. Its scanners analyzed the faint signals from long-dormant human outposts, satellites, and installations. Small lights flickered across systems where humanity once thrived. Although centuries had passed, many of the devices were still functional. Their automated systems waiting for a signal, a reminder of the species that built them. Archon's voice filled the bridge. Steady and deliberate. Multiple human erosion signals detected. Probability of functional human data nodes? 72%. Priority: establish contact if living humans remain. Crixa, the Zerathi captain, watched in awe. It's like the entire galaxy remembers them, even if no one alive does. Trell, working on a console, nodded. Not just remembers. They left pieces of themselves everywhere, this ship. It's collecting every last fragment. Suddenly, the Vigilant Dawn shuddered as an unknown fleet appeared on sensors. Hundreds of ships, sleek and fast, were converging from multiple directions. Their formation was precise, military in nature. The human warship had been detected. "Threat assessment," Archon said calmly. "Incoming fleet, non-human. Intent. High probability of engagement. Defensive protocols. Active. Weapons online. Shields at 84% capacity." Crix's antennae twitched nervously. "They're trying to stop it." Archon responded with measured precision. "They fear the return of humans. They perceive the Vigilant Dawn as a threat," caution advised. "Engagement is not required unless provoked." The fleet opened communications. A strong voice filled the subspace channel, deep and commanding. "Vigilant Dawn, you are trespassing in occupied space. Identify yourself. Cease all transmissions or face immediate destruction." Archon's tone was calm but unyielding. "Identification complete. This vessel is the Vigilant Dawn, human warship. Purpose: preservation of humanity's legacy and protection of remaining human assets. No aggression intended." The alien fleet paused. A murmur spread among their ranks. None had expected the ship to respond. Most assumed it was an empty relic, incapable of independent action. Yet here it was, alive, aware, and commanding respect merely through its presence. Elder Kren whispered to his commanders, "It speaks like a true command vessel. Not a machine, a sentinel." Humans built machines with their will embedded in them. The fleet commander replied, uncertain, "We cannot underestimate it." Orders: maintain distance. Observe, do not engage. Archon continued its course, warily aware of the approaching fleet but refusing to strike. Its sensors monitored the alien ships, but its mission remained clear: locate and preserve humanity. Crixa watched the interaction silently. "It's showing restraint," she said softly. "It could destroy them, but it doesn't." "That's..." Human Trell glanced at her. "It's not just following orders anymore. It's choosing. It's weighing outcomes." "That's incredible." The Vigilant Dawn sent out another wave of subspace pulses, expanding its search radius. The galaxy responded. Automated research stations activated, satellites long abandoned, transmitted status updates. Even some lightly populated human colonies, secret colonies, hidden in distant star systems, responded with faint signals. Archon's voice rang through the ship. Signals detected. Probability of living humans, 38%. Course adjustment required. Destination: nearest confirmed human origin signal. Krixa could barely contain her excitement. There's hope. Humans. They're out there. The Zarathi crew felt the weight of history around them. They had expected to find a relic, a husk of a lost civilization. Instead, they were witnessing the rebirth of human influence, the first steps of humanity's return after centuries of silence. But fear had also spread across the galaxy. News of the awakening traveled faster than any fleet. Trade routes diverted, colonies reinforced, and militaries prepared. Governments who had once written humans off as extinct now scrambled to protect themselves, unsure whether this single warship was the first of many. In the midst of chaos, Archon maintained its purpose. Its voice, calm and unwavering, reassured its crew, human or alien. Engagement is unnecessary. My function is preservation, not conquest. Humanity's legacy must endure without unnecessary bloodshed. The ship's shields glimmered as the alien fleet hesitated. Despite being outnumbered, the humans' long-forgotten design commanded attention. Every weapon, every drone, every sensor had been built with precision, intelligence, and endurance in mind. The aliens recognized that this was not a simple relic, but a sentinel, a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Days passed as the vigilant dawn moved steadily toward its target. Each light year revealed new signals. Hidden installations, satellites, and long-abandoned colonies responded in faint, intermittent bursts. Humanity's creations had survived. The ship collected them all, cataloging, preserving, storing them in its memory banks. Krixa, standing on the bridge, marveled. This isn't just a ship. It's a beacon. It's humanity's voice reaching across centuries. Trell nodded, smiling. And it's not done yet. Humans built machines to survive, and they built hope into them. That hope is still alive. The galaxy watched, uncertain and fearful, as a single human warship moved steadily, awakening memories, stirring long-forgotten installations, and sending a clear message: humanity endures, and somewhere far away. The faintest pulse of life responded, a subtle signal from a hidden human settlement, waiting, listening, and ready to reconnect with the long-lost legacy of their ancestors. The vigilant dawn continued its journey. Unwavering, a living monument to human resilience. Across the stars, the echoes of humanity's past began to awaken the galaxy, and even those who feared them could not ignore the power of a species that refused to vanish.